Hello everyone, and welcome to Planet Coaster 2, and welcome to Aquarama! Or, more accurately, welcome to the lake that Aquarama will eventually be built around. For this project, I'm planning to have a combined water park and theme park sitting on both sides of the lake. To the left-hand side of the lake, past these trees, is where we'll ultimately have the water park, and to the right-hand side of the lake, and kind of building around, is where we'll have the very watery themed theme park. In terms of budget, we're looking at a park around the Six Flags, Alton Towers kind of level of money. Trying to do theme, trying to do things that are exciting, trying to put genuinely a good park together, but not 100% having the budget that the major, bigger players would have. Let's be honest, looking at sort of my skills and my build level, I think it's probably best to start with a park that could best be described as an attempt was made. All of this initial sandbox stuff over here is going to be shifted around and redeveloped, and at the moment, like I say, it's a big hole with some water in it. Let's come back in a few minutes when we've got the initial stages of the park a little bit more laid out. Welcome back everybody, I am the Imagine Idiot, and now we have something that looks a little bit more like a theme park. Well, I keep saying the word theme, but again, an attempt was made. Really the theme that this park is going for could be described as water exists and tropical is kind of a thing. Not going too deep on the theming, not going too deep into any great sort of massive sweeping developments, but sort of throwing what they can at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to that. If we move on in, first thing we can take a look at here is the ticket booth. I absolutely love the grunge effects that we now have in the game that we can put on the walls. I think that those look fantastic. And they really do sort of sum up the park that it's trying. It really is trying, but not everything's as perfect as it could be. Again, we've got the loose, very, very loose, aquatic, tropical theming on the front there. And up top, we have a crab. I have, in Planet Coaster, an admitted weakness for putting things on top of other things. I have a feeling it's probably not the most done thing in the community, but I kind of loved doing it in Planet Coaster 1, and I still love doing it. This little cutie here is Dab the Crab. In my head, the management of the park heard that dab is a thing that the kids say, have no idea what it means, but thought that this would help them connect to the youth. Pulling back to it a bit of a different angle, taking a look now, we can see the coach park. Everything's been shifted over to the right, everything's been moved around, and a section has been carved out here for a path so that they're not going to clip through into the fencing. In all honesty, I think I might need to take another pass at this and just expand this forwards a bit, because at the moment it looks like every single time a coach pulls into here, they're probably going to drive directly into this fence. Just going to ignore that for the moment and pretend it doesn't exist, and similarly we're going to ignore everything at the moment that exists up this road. It has not been finished, it does not look fantastic yet, so we're just going to keep facing in this direction. Speaking of which, if I can angle myself down, we can have a look at the entryway, which I think at the moment the entryway might be a little bit too small, but I'm not sure. Going to see how that develops out over the course of the park. I will say that this is not planned to be the only entryway. As I just mentioned, on the other side of the park we will have the water park, and there will be another functionally identical entrance over at that side, so it might be reasonable that this is a little bit smaller. We'll see as the park goes on. But as we then move through into the main plaza, we get to, I think, what is my favourite thing at the moment that I've created for the park. I have no idea what just happened there with the camera. Okay, playing again. We've got the Aquarama sphere, as I'm calling it. This looks as 90s as it possibly could, and I love it. Every single time I look at this, I have something like the Klasky Supo theme playing in my head, and it is exactly what I wanted. Very simple build. The sphere is the sphere. The top half, the letters, are the just in-game letters. The letters on the bottom half are created as a custom sign using the art pieces in-game. Now, the way we'd do that previously is that we'd create a custom sign out of the game, use a customized billboard, import that, and then start building it out using it as a stencil and using the very small art shapes to build from. Obviously, we can't do that exactly the same way anymore because at the moment we don't have custom billboards, but you can blow up one of the in-game fonts on a flat sign as big as possible, and you can use that the same way. The advantage that you then get from that, if we look through into the guest services building, is that the branding is then consistent because we can use that same font on the in-game signs. Hashtag content, this is what I know all the kids themselves are here for, consistent theme park branding. I'm that cool. The only other thing we really have at the moment is just a bit of a plan for the sightline, with the monsoon splash in the background, which I think the park would make a bit of a big thing on the entrance, so I wanted that to be nice and clear as we're heading through the plaza. But other than that, and other than the guest services building over there, nothing is really built out yet. So let's come back in a minute once we have this plaza more or less finished. Alright, and we're back with the fully finished plaza. We're also in guest camera, so pray for my soul because I have not used this a huge amount, as will become incredibly apparent as I try to maneuver around. Just going to move into the ticket office and take a bit of a closer look at how I've built out the functional portion of that. So we've just got the, I think it's going to be very standard for a lot of Planet Coaster builds as we go forwards. The individual booth stands, with the booth itself hidden, the stall itself hidden behind art shapes which have been expanded out and sunk into the counter. Please do not look too closely into the background. There is no kitting out, no furnishing in there to make it look anything like good. I literally just slapped a bunch of posters onto the wall and called it a day. Though again, it does slightly fit the theme of a not entirely capable park. And if these lovely people would get out of the way, you can see again that's being carried on. We've got the grunge decals, just showing that there's areas that maybe should have had a bit more attention that haven't, which I really think fits the level, the theme of the park that we're going for. I'm just going to pull back and take a bit of a look at the entryway path, because I'm quite pleased. Very simple thing, just with the splash paving that we've got in here. That's just one of the one of the signs for the large splash that they have in there, just all coloured the same colour, and flipped around and sunk into the ground. Going to scoot forwards and take a look. Looking a little bit more closely at the entrance, you can see again, the park is trying, but they're only trying so hard. They've not tried to hide the fact that they've got the don't die fencing up to keep people from hopping the fences. It's there, it's in full view, it's a little bit ugly, but they have painted it, so there's a slight effort made, but not much, to just hide the uglier parts around the edge. Moving into the plaza, where I still absolutely love that sign, but we'll swing around and take a bit of a look into the toilets. Unlike other more competent YouTubers, I have not fully fitted out these bathrooms. It's a long, gloomy corridor that leads to several holes in the wall. But I do like the look of the corridor. Again, it's nice, it's got a tiled floor, but the walls, I can hear the echoing dinginess and smell the bleach in here, and I think that kind of fits exactly what I wanted for this. It's gloomy, and I don't want to spend too much time in there, and frankly, nor would the guests. Gonna put a bit of a jump cut in there as the world's loudest motorbike just went past my window. But looking on into guest services, again, we've got that loose resorts exist kind of theming. These are not from the resort theme. These are Viking awnings which have been blown up a little bit with, again, just generic wooden poles holding them up. And inside, some of the slightly more themed resort poles just to carry on a bit of a theme in there. And again, with the wrap around the counter, just enhancing that resorts exist theme. In the background, there should probably be, in the background, filing cabinets, furniture, things of that nature to build out the back of that room, and someday there will be. But again, for the moment, I've just slapped up some posters and televisions and called it a bit of a day. Shapes on the wall, these are the same art shapes that we use on the path leading in, but being used a little bit more for their intended purpose. And just like with the ticket office, this booth is the freestanding information stalls with art shapes sunk into the top of them to create a bit of a surface. Moving out to the next part here. This is a building. I needed something on the skyline that would be a little bit taller. I'm not 100% sure what this actually is. I think in my head it's potentially a sort of a small function room that maybe can be hired out for parties, maybe used for certain events in the park, but not always open, not always available. Maybe it's a little bit small for that. I might extend that out backwards to give it a little bit more space, but that's sort of the general idea of the thing, and I think it looks quite good. These steps, again, are just trim from the mythic theme, which has been shrunk down and sunk into the floor progressively. And over on the left, a nice drink stall for sort of a quick service restaurant. This is the kind of restaurant positioned in the plaza so it would get people coming in the morning for that early morning drink, and it would get them coming out again at the end of the day for refreshment as they leave. And I know exactly how on brand and how realistic that is for a park, because back in the 90s when I worked in a theme park, that was the area of the park I worked in. It was a small restaurant right by the entrance in the park, and when the park opened in the early morning, it was absolutely thronged. And then it was completely dead until lunchtime when it was quite busy, and then it was completely dead again until just before the park closed when it was again absolutely mobbed every time. It was an interesting place to work. Just over to the left there, a nice bit of a plaza where they can sit, enjoy the drinks, enjoy the food, and look over. Deliberately left the bit of the garden clear so that you can see straight onto the monsoon splash. And sit and watch people getting wet as they ride there. Moving around to the other side of the plaza, we have the absolute bane of my building existence, which is a gift shop. I love gift shops. I love that you can build them. I love that you can build a gift shop with all the stalls and things in it. But out of everything in the game, these take absolutely the most time and tend to require the most clever piece usage. But it is so much better. I've got to say, it is vastly better in Planet Coaster 2 than it ever was in Planet Coaster 1, because we have so many different interesting things, and because we can resize them and squish them all down, it is so much easier to stock the shelves and fill them out with things that it looks like you'd have in a gift shop. So we've got the floaties, the beach balls, the souvenirs, these wrapped packages could easily be, you've actually bought your inflatable and this is the package it comes in. But it's so much easier to fill these out and to put the things together on the shelves, just because we can more easily make things look like they would fit on a shelf. Got this barrel of swords. I don't know if this is a thing that theme parks still do, and please tell me in the comments if you know. But 20 years ago, when I was going to Disney and Universal and looking around the parks in Florida, it seemed like every single park had gone to the same supplier for these metal swords, and they were available in every gift shop. And so that's a little bit of my nod to that. Moving forwards, again, you're going to be seeing a lot of this in my park, and I think everyone else's park, just those freestanding stalls with an arch-shaped counter and a wrap around it, and thrown in some of the signs from the game for that. I'm sorry, I've just been completely stunned by this guy standing there staring at me like it's The Shining. What are you doing there, mate? And why are you looking directly at me? It's off-putting. We're just gonna ignore this guy for a moment and look at the wrap around the walls, which is just some of the wooden planking from the Viking jetties stuck on the wall and moved to various heights. And now we're gonna turn our back on this guy and hope that he doesn't do anything, and move on into the rest of the park. There's only one other thing that we built up at the moment, which is the queuing area around the Monsoon Splash. That's not going to stay as the Monsoon Splash. I am going to rename that to something and retheme it. Think I've got a bit of an idea in my head, but we can see what that's going to look like at the start of the next episode. But again, for the queuing area, they've put a little bit of thought and effort into the area at the front, and they've used some of that bamboo and some of and this is again from the Viking wood kit. But just to make the start of the queue look a little bit nicer, but as you go in, you can see you quickly get into just a generic cattle pen, and then as you come out, it's just all cattle pen, and they've just put up some tarps to shield the people in the queue, I think both from the sun and at this point from the water. And those tarps, those are just from the marketplace set, held up on some pieces of scaffolding from the support frames. I'm just going to smooth our way out. And you can see here we've got the bridge. That's the bridge that's ultimately going to head out to the other side of the park and the water park. And in the next episode, we're going to be looking at potentially building out this area, putting in a bit of a boardwalk, and finalising the look and name and theme on the Monsoon Splash there. So we'll just, yes, move back to the park. So please, like the sign at the background says, come back soon and we will have some more Planet Coaster content. Remember, as I said, with both what the park's attempting and what I can achieve, an attempt was made. But if anything doesn't look great, if anything doesn't look completely realistic, remember, I'm not an Imagineer, I am the Imagine Idiot. Have a great week, and I'll see you back soon. I think they're going to make a big thing of the Monsoon Splash as people come in through the gate, so I want to make sure that that looks sort of clear and enticing, kind of the park laying out what they really want to be hoping to achieve here, which it can be summed up as taking a bunch of guests and making them successively more and more wet. I cannot possibly use that as the take.